Today I'm talking about Persistence of Time by Anthrax. This is probably their darkest album. There's a lot going on with the band, included a very difficult recording process and a departure away from their happy and fun thrash metal sound with some longer and darker songs. This album also features a song that was played on a popular TV sitcom and eventually led to lead singer Joey Belladonna leaving the band. Thought this was a pretty good Anthrax album. I bought this when it came out. I still have my original CD. This is my original. I don't have the original jewel case because I had to get rid of it when I was moving from country to country, and I got rid of a bunch of old jewel cases. But I still have the booklet and I have the CD. So I think it's a very good album. There's one song I don't like that much, is the lead single called Got the Time. That's a Joe Jackson cover. I like this album when it came out. I think out of all the songs, that one song doesn't hold up very well, but the rest of the album is really good. I always thought Got the Time felt out of place because it was just very upbeat and short, but the other songs are much longer and much froggier, if that's a way to describe it. But with that being said, I want to move more into the history of this album. The album was released on August 21st, 1990. It's celebrating its 35th anniversary. I remember it was popular, but when I did my research, I found there were a lot of mixed reactions between critics and fans. I think some people preferred shorter songs with faster rhythms, but despite this, it was nominated for a Grammy Award in 1991 for Best Metal Performance. It reached number 24 on the Billboard 200 chart, and it was certified gold. So the album did pretty well, considering it was 1990 and before grunge took over. Let me talk about the recording. The band began working on the album in the fall of 1989 with producer Mark Dodson. He was also the producer for the previous album, State of Euphoria. They entered A&M Studios in Hollywood, California, and worked at Conway Studios in Hollywood. But there was a major setback. On January 24, 1990, a fire broke out and destroyed their rehearsal space. It caused the loss of over $100,000 worth of their equipment. This not only set back the album, but it really caused a lot of friction in the band. Here's an excerpt from an article from ultimateguitar.com. I lost my good amps in that fire. Spitz adds, if you remember, all our equipment burnt down. Our recording rehearsal space burnt down many years ago, and those were all my main amps. My sound burnt that day. I guess we can get a couple of things straight here. Everyone is always asking, did Dan Spit his guitars burned in that fire? Because they haven't seen guitars were ever destroyed. Mine, Scott's, or Frankie's in that fire. They were on the opposite side where the fire was in the building. Thank goodness, all stacked up, but we lost all our amps, all our equipment, everything. After the fire, the band moved to Soundtrack Studios in New York City in late February to finish the album. Mixing was done at Electric Lady Studios in New York City and mastering at Master Disc. Anthrax were the main producers on the album because they wanted to maintain creative control, but the album was co-produced by both Mark Dodson and John and Marsha Zazula of Megaforth. In the end, we got some longer songs with more serious lyrics and an almost progressive sound. There were more complex structures compared to the faster-paced songs from the previous albums. There were a lot of different topics tackled in these songs. Anthrax had always been known for writing fun songs. A lot of their older ones came from horror movies, Stephen King, or comic books. But I know they started tackling serious subjects on the 1988 album State of Euphoria. This album definitely gets a lot darker. For example, the opening track is called Time. This sets the tone for the entire record. It's about the idea that time is relentless, unforgiving, and how we're all racing against the clock, trapped by the passage of time. The song was written by Charlie Benante. Then there's In My World, which is the critique of societal problems, meaning that the world is getting worse. These lyrics were written by Joey Belladonna, and they have a very pessimistic outlook on the world. The song talks about hypocrisy and anger in society and how negative feelings can corrupt individuals. Another one is Keep It in the Family, written by Scott Ian. This is an anti-war anthem that criticizes the cycle of hatred and violence, talks about bigotry and intolerance, how they pass down from one generation to the next, which creates a vicious cycle. The lyrics urge listeners to break the cycle and not keep it in the family. Then there's the song Blood, also written by Scott Ian. This touches on the inner turmoil of being haunted by one's own demons. The lyrics describe a struggle with addiction or similar destructive forces, with blood representing a life force that's being drained away. Then there's the song Hate Red, which is spelled the way I have it here on the screen. This is about racism and prejudice. Lyrics were also written by Scott Ian, and it's an attack on bigotry and violence. The title itself is a play on the phrase hate red, spelled differently to stand out, referring to a person full of hatred. Then one of my favorites, or possibly my favorite, Belly of the Beast. It's about loss of individuality. It can be interpreted as a metaphor for a system or society that swallows people's unique identity and forces them to conform to its norms. Finally, there's the lead single I mentioned before, Got the Time. It's a cover of the Joe Jackson song from 1979. They made it faster, more aggressive, almost punky, but the lyrics are in line with the rest of the album because they're about the pressures of modern life and the feeling of being constantly on the go. On a lighter note, Anthrax also appeared on the sitcom Married with Children.
Okay, we can still have fun together, right guys? Well, here's a little game I know that can break the ice at any party.
This aired a few years later, on February 23rd, 1992, but I feel it's related to this album for two reasons. One, because Joey Belladonna was still in the band, and two, because they played the song In My World, part of this episode. Basically, the plot is about Bud and Kelly Bundy tricking their parents into going on a romantic vacation for their anniversary, but this vacation is actually part of a timeshare sales pitch, and they end up going to this secluded, snow-covered resort. This allowed Bud and Kelly to win a Dinner with Anthrax contest. So the band arrives at the Bundy household and gets trapped inside with the Bundy kids because of a snowstorm. The band members are bored and hungry. They end up eating this mystery package from the refrigerator, which causes them to hallucinate and lose their minds. They end up performing In My World. This episode was actually inspired by a real-life event. In 1989, Anthrax held a contest through MTV's Headbangers Ball, where a fan could win a visit from the band to their house. The winners hosted the band, but Anthrax caused a little bit of havoc in these people's homes. The Married with Children writers wanted to take that story and turn it into an episode. Finally, like I said before, this was the last album with Joey Belladonna until he made a return many years later. But he didn't leave the band on his own. He was actually fired in 1992. According to the band, they said it wasn't personal, but due to creative differences, because they wanted to move in a different musical direction. They felt Joey Belladonna wasn't a good fit for the new sound they were going for, which had more of a 90s style. According to bassist Frank Bello, he said the change was best for the band because of the direction they were going. Joey Belladonna said that his departure was unexpected and not his idea. He thought he could have recorded many albums following his departure, but the band was just chasing some other idea. He later said it was hard being back in the band knowing that they once disliked him many years ago, even though the band claimed it wasn't personal, just a business decision. I didn't dive too deep into that story. I think there's a lot more behind the scenes. I could probably do a full dedicated video on this one day and just to do some deep research and find out what's really going on. If anyone's interested, comment below and let me know. I want to end the video here so the video doesn't get too long. In the meantime, let me direct you to my review of State of Euphoria from 1988. It was a different kind of album, a little faster, a little happier, but still very good. You can check that out in the meantime. Thanks for watching. Please like the video. It helps me with the YouTube algorithm. Please subscribe if you're not already. I do rock and metal reviews, rankings, and more. I will see you in the next one.